Ladies and gentlemen, imagine this. The very supplements millions take every single night, vitamin D3, vitamin K2, and magnesium, can either be the keys to a stronger, longer, healthier life, or the silent triggers that slowly sabotage your body from within. The difference between thriving and declining isn't luck, it's knowledge, balance, and awareness. What you're about to hear may challenge everything you thought you knew about safe, long-term use, and it could change the way you protect your health forever. Let us take this exploration even deeper, because the question of whether long-term use of D3, K2, and magnesium is safe or harmful is not just about nutrients, it is about how you choose to shape your future health. When you look at your body, you are looking at a masterpiece of biology that has been fine-tuned for thousands of years. Every single process is designed for survival, strength, and renewal. But the world you live in today is very different from the world your ancestors lived in. They got sunlight from dawn to dusk. Their diets were filled with wild greens, natural minerals, and fermented foods that provided a steady stream of K2 and magnesium. They didn't sit indoors for hours under artificial lights or eat refined foods stripped of essential minerals. That means your body is still running on ancient programming, but navigating a modern environment that deprives it of what it was built to thrive on. This is why supplementation has become such a powerful tool. It allows you to bridge the gap between what your body requires and what your lifestyle provides. But here's the hidden truth. The key is not in swallowing capsules and hoping for the best. It is in creating harmony between what you take, what you eat, how you live, and what your body signals. D3, K2, and magnesium can be viewed as a trinity of resilience, but only if you use them with wisdom. Think of vitamin D3 again. It is not only about bones and immunity, it is also about mood, energy, and even longevity. Low levels of D3 have been linked to higher risks of depression, fatigue, and chronic illnesses. But D3's influence goes beyond prevention. It acts like a switch that turns on your body's ability to repair, regenerate, and protect. Imagine carrying a light inside you that guides your immune cells, that strengthens your muscles, that improves your balance as you age. That light is D3. But if you flood the system without balance, it is like turning on too many lights at once and blowing a fuse. And this is where the power of K2 becomes even clearer. Without it, the calcium that D3 helps you absorb does not always land in the right places. Instead of building bone, it can harden arteries, creating a silent danger. With K2, however, calcium becomes a builder, not a destroyer. It fortifies your skeleton, protects your teeth, and keeps your vessels flexible. Imagine it as a construction manager ensuring every brick, every stone, every reinforcement is laid down exactly where it belongs. That is not just safety. That is mastery. Magnesium, meanwhile, is like the quiet engineer in the background. It is not flashy, not often celebrated, but without it, the entire structure collapses. It stabilizes your heart rhythm, helps muscles contract and relax, calms the nervous system, and literally generates the energy your cells run on. Even your sleep, your stress response, and your blood sugar depend on magnesium's steady hand. But here's the startling reality. Nearly 2/3 of adults today are deficient in it. And that means that even if you take D3 and K2, their benefits may be muted because magnesium is the ignition switch that allows them to function fully. So when you ask whether long-term use is safe, you must ask an even deeper question. Safe compared to what? Safe compared to deficiency, where bones crumble, hearts strain, and immune systems falter? Or safe compared to excess, where blind overuse leads to imbalance? The truth is that safety lies in balance, and long-term benefits come from awareness. Consider this. Scientists have studied populations around the world with extraordinary longevity, communities where people regularly live past 90 or even 100 years in good health. One of the secrets is not that they avoided nutrients, but that their diets and lifestyles provided them naturally. In Japan, fermented foods rich in K2 are a staple. In the Mediterranean, sunlight and mineral-rich vegetables abound. In Central America, magnesium-rich beans and seeds are part of daily meals. What we call supplementation today, they achieve through lifestyle. But modern life has stripped much of this away, and so supplementation is not just a choice for many, it is a necessity. And here lies the great opportunity. Long-term use, when done thoughtfully, does not harm. It protects. It builds reserves for when your body is under stress. It supports recovery when illness or injury strikes. It ensures that as you age, you are not simply surviving, but thriving with bones that carry you, vessels that nourish you, and energy that fuels your days. Yet, if ignored or taken haphazardly, it can become a silent enemy. The difference is not in the nutrient, it is in the approach. Think of the body like a symphony. Vitamin D3 is the conductor, directing the performance. K2 is the strings, guiding the melody of calcium into harmony. Magnesium is the percussion, setting the rhythm that keeps everything steady. Remove one, and the music becomes distorted. Overload one, and the balance collapses. Together, in the right proportions, the music of your body plays beautifully, resilient, strong, vibrant. Another dimension to consider is timing. Long-term use does not mean constant, unchanging doses for decades. It means evolving with your body's needs. In youth, your demands are different from middle age. In times of illness, your needs rise. In periods of stress, magnesium can be depleted more quickly. Long-term safety is not about sameness, it is about adaptability. Just as a city adjusts its infrastructure as its population grows, your body requires adjustments as life progresses. And here is something profoundly empowering. You are not powerless in this process. You can measure your vitamin D levels. You can observe the signals of magnesium deficiency like muscle cramps or fatigue. You can notice whether your diet includes the natural sources of K2. You can partner with your body instead of gambling with it. This awareness turns supplements from a blind guess into a precision tool. Imagine for a moment what it would feel like decades from now to stand tall, move freely, and live with vitality because you made wise choices today. Imagine knowing you gave your body the resources it needed to stay resilient through the storms of aging. Now contrast that with the regret of discovering too late that imbalance, neglect, or carelessness turned good intentions into harm. That is the true weight of this question. When people ask, is it safe or slowly killing you? They often expect a simple yes or no, but the real answer is deeper. It is both safe and dangerous, depending on how you approach it. It is not the nutrient itself that determines the outcome. It is the mindset, the awareness, the responsibility with which you use it. The power of long-term supplementation lies in creating a foundation for health that endures. It is not about a quick fix, but about building strength brick by brick, day by day. D3 gives you the light, K2 directs the building blocks, and magnesium fuels the engine. Together they create resilience, but resilience requires balance. It requires wisdom. It requires respect for the body you inhabit. And this respect is not passive. It is active. It is the see, hoist, to test, to learn, to adjust, to listen. It is the decision to step into partnership with your biology rather than trying to overpower it. It is the realization that safety is not found in extremes, but in harmony. And when you commit to that harmony, you transform the very question itself. It is no longer about whether these nutrients are safe or dangerous. It is about how you can use them to unlock the best version of yourself, not for a moment, but for a lifetime. Now let's move even deeper into this conversation, because what you are really asking when you consider the long-term use of D3, K2, and magnesium is not just about health, it is about trust. Can you trust that the steps you are taking today are leading you toward vitality tomorrow? Can you trust that the habits you build daily are protecting you rather than undermining you? The truth is, every supplement you take, every nutrient you absorb, every choice you make is either aligning with your biology or working against it. And the challenge is that the line between support and sabotage is often invisible until years have passed. That is why you must understand the deeper mechanisms of how these nutrients work, not just what they promise. When you swallow vitamin D3, you are not simply taking a pill, you are sending a message to your DNA. D3 binds to receptors inside your cells and switches on genes that regulate immunity, bone growth, muscle strength, and even mood regulation. It's as though you are activating blueprints that already exist inside you, but are waiting for the right key to unlock them. Long-term use of D3, therefore, is not about force, it is about permission. You are allowing your body to do what it is designed to do. But as with all powerful keys, it must be used with precision. Too little and doors remain locked. Too much and pathways can be overstimulated, leading to imbalances that ripple through the body. This is why K2 is so essential to the equation. Imagine building a house. D3 is like the truck delivering the cement. Necessary, powerful, but useless unless poured into the right foundation. K2 is the builder directing where the cement should be placed. Without the builder, the cement can spill into the wrong places, hardening where it was never meant to be, creating blockages instead of strength. Long term, that misplacement can silently erode your health, creating conditions like calcified arteries that choke off the very lifeline of your body. But when D3 and K2 work together, your bones become stronger, your teeth more resilient, and your cardiovascular system remains flexible and youthful. Magnesium, once again, completes the story. Think of it as the electricity running through the house you just built. Without electricity, the house stands, but it is dark, lifeless, and unable to function fully. With electricity, everything comes alive. The lights turn on, the appliances run, the environment becomes livable. Magnesium does this at the cellular level. It activates enzymes, stabilizes nerve signals, calms muscle contractions, and literally sparks energy production. In long-term supplementation, magnesium is often the missing piece people overlook, and yet it is the one that decides whether D3 and K2 perform their jobs effectively. Without magnesium, D3 may remain inactive, K2 may be underutilized, and the balance you sought in supplementation can collapse. This trinity, D3, K2, and magnesium, works like an ecosystem. Take one away and the balance falters. Overemphasize one and the system becomes unstable. Balance them together and you create a foundation that can carry you for decades. The safety or danger of long-term use is not in the nutrients themselves, it is in the harmony between them. Now consider how most people live today. Long hours indoors, minimal sun exposure, diets stripped of minerals, processed foods that deplete magnesium, and very few natural sources of K2. His modern lifestyle is not neutral. It is actively draining your reserves. And because the depletion happens slowly, silently, year after year, most people do not realize the deficit until the consequences become undeniable. A fracture that should not have happened, a fatigue that never seems to lift, a diagnosis that could have been prevented. This is why long-term use of these nutrients can feel like a lifeline. It is not an excess, it is a restoration. But here's the cautionary note. Restoration must be measured. Long-term safety means respecting thresholds. Your body does not need an endless flood of nutrients. It needs a steady, balanced supply. Too much D3 without guidance can elevate calcium levels dangerously. Too much magnesium can overwhelm the gut and kidneys. Too much K2, though less studied in terms of toxicity, can still create unknown imbalances if taken far beyond natural ranges. The secret is not to avoid them, but to use them with wisdom. Listening to your body, checking your levels, adjusting as life changes. And here is where empowerment enters. You are not a passive participant in your health. You are the driver. You have tools available today that generations before you never dreamed of. Blood tests can measure your D3 levels. Diet and lifestyle evaluations can reveal whether you are deficient in magnesium or K2. Feedback from your body, muscle cramps, fatigue, bone pain, mood swings, can signal when adjustments are needed. If you pay attention, your body speaks. If you ignore it, your body shouts later in ways you cannot ignore. Long-term safety comes from listening before the shouting begins. Think also of the bigger picture. Long-term supplementation is not only about preventing harm, it is about creating resilience. It is about ensuring that when challenges come, illness, injury, stress, aging, you have reserves to draw from. A body nourished with D3, K2, and magnesium does not crumble easily. Bones resist fractures, muscles recover faster, arteries remain supple, the immune system stands strong. Energy returns more quickly. This is not just about living longer, it is about living stronger. But you must ask yourself, are you approaching these nutrients as a crutch or as a strategy? A crutch is used blindly, without thought, hoping it will carry the weight. A strategy is used with intelligence, with understanding, with adaptation. Long-term safety depends on strategy. It depends on recognizing that these nutrients are not isolated miracles, but parts of a larger system that includes diet, exercise, sleep, stress, and lifestyle. No pill can replace sunlight, no capsule can replace leafy greens, no supplement can replace movement. But when combined with these foundations, supplementation becomes transformative. This is why thinking about long-term use requires more than fear or hope. It requires vision. Imagine yourself 10 years from now. Will you be standing taller, moving freely, filled with energy because you built a foundation today? Or will you be looking back, wishing you had taken the steps to protect your health earlier? The choice is being made in small daily decisions, whether to ignore or to act, whether to guess or to measure, whether to hope or to understand. And this vision is not limited to you alone. Think of the people who depend on you, your family, your loved ones, your community. Your strength is not only your own, it radiates outward. When you protect your health, you protect your ability to show up for others, to contribute, to inspire, to care. Long-term supplementation is not just about safety for your body. It is about safety for your purpose. It ensures you have the vitality to fulfill the roles life asks of you, not just today, but for years to come. So when you hear the question, is it safe or is it slowly killing you? You can see that it is not really a question about danger. It is a question about responsibility. It is a question about whether you are willing to step into the driver's seat of your health and steer wisely. Safety does not come from ignoring the issue. Danger does not come from the nutrients themselves. Safety comes from balance, from listening, from adjusting, from respecting the extraordinary system that is your body. And when you embrace this, long-term supplementation becomes not a gamble, but a gift. It becomes a tool to align your modern life with your ancient biology, to restore what the environment has taken, to build what time tries to erode. It becomes a daily choice, not just to survive, but to thrive, not just to live, but to live well, with strength, clarity, and purpose guiding every step. Think for a moment about the word foundation. When you construct anything that is meant to last, a home, a bridge, a city, you don't begin with decoration, you begin with stability. You pour the concrete, you anchor the beams, you reinforce the base so that everything built above it can endure. Your body is no different. D3, K2, and magnesium are not luxuries, they are foundation stones. Without them, what you build in terms of strength, resilience, and vitality will eventually weaken. With them, you create a base that can withstand the storms of age, the pressures of stress, and the inevitable challenges of life. But a foundation only serves its purpose when it is built properly, in balance, and with care. This is why long-term thinking is so essential. Too many people look at health as a short-term project, something to patch up after illness strikes or to scramble for when fatigue or weakness sets in. But real health is not a patch, it is a plan. It is daily choices that accumulate into a fortress. Long-term use of nutrients like D3, K2, and magnesium must be understood as part of that fortress. They are not quick fixes, but architects of endurance. They do their work quietly, often invisibly, protecting your bones from thinning, your arteries from hardening, your heart from faltering, your immune system from collapsing. By the time you realize their absence, the Mage may already be done. By the time you realize their presence, you may simply notice that you are strong, energetic, and thriving in ways others around you are not. But let's go deeper into how they function over time, because this is where the question of safety becomes most urgent. When you consistently supply D3, you are supporting calcium absorption and immune regulation. Over years, this translates to stronger bones and fewer infections. But if you supply D3 without K2, that calcium may build up where it should not, lining arteries, stiffening vessels, and creating silent threats. If you include K2, however, those risks are not only reduced, they are redirected into benefits. Calcium strengthens the skeleton instead of sabotaging circulation. And magnesium ensures the whole process runs smoothly, like oil in an engine, reducing friction and keeping every gear aligned. Long term, this synergy becomes more than just protection. It becomes momentum. Each day you take them, each year they support you, the advantages accumulate. Bones that are strong in your 40s remain resilient in your 60s. Arteries that are flexible in middle age remain protective in later years. Muscles that recover quickly after strain today prepare you for continued movement tomorrow. This is the compounding effect of wise supplementation. It builds a legacy of health. But compounding works both ways. Just as benefits accumulate with balance, risks accumulate with neglect or imbalance. Too much D3 without checks can slowly elevate calcium to dangerous levels. Too little magnesium over decades can erode bone, weaken muscles, destabilize heart rhythms. Too little K2 can leave arteries vulnerable even as bones appear supported. The effects may not reveal themselves in a week or a month, but over years they emerge, and by then they may be far more difficult to reverse. This is why long-term safety is not about guessing. It is about precision, about respecting the delicate balance your body requires. This is also why awareness matters so much. Your body is not a mystery, it leaves clues. Muscle cramps, restless sleep, chronic fatigue, these can be signals of magnesium depletion, gum disease, brittle nails, poor wound healing. These can hint at low K2. Frequent infections, bone aches, mood swings, these may point to insufficient D3. Each signal is like a whisper from your biology, reminding you to pay attention. If ignored, whispers become shouts. But if honored, whispers become guides that lead you toward balance. And here lies one of the most empowering truths. Long-term safety is not achieved by avoiding nutrients, but by aligning with them intelligently. Just as you would not drive a car endlessly without maintenance, you should not embark on lifelong supplementation without reflection. Regularly checking levels, adapting dosages, and integrating nutrient-rich foods into your diet create the roadmap to safety. Supplements become tools, not crutches. They become partners, not risks. Consider how these nutrients interact with lifestyle. If you spend hours indoors, sunlight scarce, your need for D3 rises. If your diet is low in fermented foods or leafy greens, your need for K2 increases. If stress, caffeine, or certain medications deplete magnesium, supplementation becomes more critical. Long-term safety means acknowledging your environment, your habits, and your body's unique demands. It means realizing that what works for one person may not work for another, and that your path must be personalized. Think about the way you invest money. You don't simply put everything into one stock and forget it. You diversify, you monitor, you adjust. Health is no different. Investing in D3, K2, and magnesium long-term is wise, but it must be diversified with other lifestyle investments: exercise, sleep, hydration, whole foods, stress management. Together, these create a portfolio of resilience. Ignore one, and your health portfolio weakens. Nurture them all, and your returns compound across decades. Now picture yourself at 80, 90, even 100 years old. What determines whether you are confined, frail, dependent, or whether you are walking tall, thinking clearly, engaging fully in life? Much of it comes down to the foundations you lay today. Weak bones can steal independence. Hardened arteries can steal years. Fatigue can steal purpose. But strong bones, flexible vessels, steady energy, these preserve not only life, but quality of life. D3, K2, and magnesium are not trivial. They are builders of that quality. This is why the debate of safe or dangerous must be reframed. The danger is not in the nutrients themselves, but in neglect, imbalance, or ignorance. The safety is not in avoiding them, but in using them wisely, consistently, and with awareness. Supplements are not shortcuts. They are reinforcements. They help bridge the gap between ancient biology and modern living, ensuring that your body has what it needs despite the shortcomings of your environment. And yet, there is another layer: psychology. Too many people take supplements mechanically, without intention, like checking a box. But the real transformation happens when you see them as part of a greater act of self-respect. Each time you take D3, you are choosing to fuel your immune system. Each time you take K2, you are choosing to direct strength into your bones instead of your arteries. Each time you take magnesium, you are choosing calmness, steadiness, and energy. These are not pills. They are commitments to your future self, to your ability to show up for those you love, to your resilience in the face of time. Imagine walking through life with that kind of intentionality. Every dose becomes a decision to invest in the future. Every choice becomes a statement. I will not neglect my foundation. I will not gamble with my health. I will not wait until it is too late. Instead, I will build, I will strengthen, I will align. Long-term supplementation, when seen this way, is not just about biology. It is about identity. It is about who you choose to be in the face of time and challenge. So the real question is not whether D3, K2, and magnesium are safe long-term. It is whether you are willing to treat them as partners in a lifelong journey, whether you are willing to see beyond the capsule and into the architecture of health, whether you are ready to step out of passive habits and into active choices that define your strength, your clarity, and your future. Because once you understand this, the path becomes clear. Balance, awareness, consistency, and respect are what make these nutrients not dangerous, but transformative. And when you embrace them with wisdom, you do not simply take supplements, you take control. And now we step even further into the heart of this discussion, because what lies ahead is not simply a choice about nutrients, but a philosophy of how you choose to live. Every capsule of D3, every serving of magnesium-rich food, every inclusion of K2 in your diet is a decision that ripples forward through time. It is not just about this week or even this year. It is about shaping the decades ahead. When people ask whether long-term use of D3, K2, and magnesium is safe or harmful, What they are really asking is whether consistent commitment to health can truly pay off, or whether it carries hidden risks that could undermine the very goals you hope to achieve. The answer depends not on the nutrients themselves, but on the mindset you bring to them. Think of the body like a vast garden. Each nutrient is a seed planted, watered, and nurtured. With patience, these seeds grow into strong trees, resilient plants, and nourishing fruits. But if you plant too many seeds in one corner or water them without balance, the soil becomes depleted and the garden falls into chaos. Long-term supplementation works in the same way. It is cultivation, not conquest. D3 provides the sunlight in this garden, fueling growth and vitality. K2 is the gardener who ensures roots grow in the right direction, that calcium builds bone instead of cluttering pathways. Magnesium is the soil itself, rich with minerals, enabling every seed to take root and flourish. Without the soil, nothing grows. Without sunlight, growth is stunted. Without direction, growth is disorganized. Together, in balance, they transform the garden into a sanctuary of life. But balance is more than just science. It is also discipline. The danger with long-term use is not that these nutrients suddenly turn toxic, but that people forget to adjust, to listen, to measure. They take the same dose for 10 years without ever checking whether their needs have changed. They assume what worked for a friend must work for them. They forget that health is not static, it is dynamic. It shifts with age, with environment, with stress, with diet. What you need at 30 is not identical to what you need at 70. What you need during a winter in the north is not what you need during a summer near the equator. Safety, then, is not simply about the nutrients themselves. It is about the wisdom of adjusting your garden to the seasons of your life. And here's the empowering part. You already have the tools to cultivate that wisdom. Testing your vitamin D levels reveals whether supplementation is keeping you within the optimal range. Paying attention to the signals of magnesium deficiency, restless sleep, tension, fatigue, shows whether your reserves are being depleted. Reflecting on your diet tells you whether natural K2 is present or absent. This is how you become not just a consumer of nutrients, but a steward of your body. This is how long-term use becomes safe, not through blind repetition, but through mindful awareness. Imagine what this means for your future self. 10 years from now, when others comply, in of aching joints, you are moving freely because your bones are strong. 20 years from now, when others slow down from stiff arteries and reduce circulation, you are walking with energy because your vessels remain flexible. 30 years from now, when many succumb to fatigue, imbalance, and decline, you are still engaged, sharp, and capable because your cells have been nourished by decades of intentional choices. This is the compounding power of consistency. It does not announce itself loudly each day, but it reveals itself over time in the way you live, the way you move, the way you endure. But let's also confront the other side, because the risks of misuse are just as real. Too much D3 without monitoring can elevate calcium levels dangerously, leading to kidney stones or vascular calcification. Too much magnesium, especially without strong kidney function, can create imbalances that affect the heart and nervous system. Too little K2 can mean that all the good intentions of taking D3 turn against you, depositing calcium where it should not be. This is not to instill fear, but to remind you that precision matters. A garden overwatered is as unhealthy as a garden left to dry. Safety is not the absence of nutrients, it is the presence of balance. And this leads to another profound truth. Your body is not fragile, but it is responsive. It responds to everything you give it, good or bad. If you nourish it with balance, it thrives. If you burden it with imbalance, it struggles. Long-term supplementation is a dialogue, not a monologue. You give, your body responds, you adjust. That cycle, when practiced with intention, becomes the rhythm of lifelong health. Now think of the countless people who ignore this dialogue. They pop a pill once in a while, forget it for months, then return with renewed urgency when illness strikes. They treat their body like a machine that can be fixed with a single repair rather than a living system that needs ongoing care. They ask, is it safe? But they do not live in a way that creates safety. True safety comes not from avoiding risk, but from cultivating resilience. D3, K2, and magnesium are tools of resilience. They do not guarantee health on their own, but they equip your body to resist the forces that erode it. This is why you must reframe the way you see these nutrients. They are not external agents imposing health upon you. They are partners unlocking the health already written into your DNA. They do not replace what your body does. They empower it to do what it was designed to do. Long-term safety is not about fearing them, but about respecting the partnership. It is about recognizing that your body has thresholds, needs, and rhythms, and that supplements should work with those rhythms, not against them. Picture your life as a journey across a vast landscape. Along the way are storms of illness, hills of aging, rivers of stress, deserts of fatigue. To cross this landscape, you need strength, resilience, and endurance. Food, rest, movement, and mindset are the essentials you carry in your pack. But D3, K2, and magnesium are like the compass, the map, and the steady water supply. They do not replace your journey, but they guide it, sustain it, and ensure you reach the destination with vitality intact. Long-term use, when wise, does not weigh you down. It lightens the burden. Now imagine the legacy you can build. Health is not just for you, it is for the people around you. When you thrive, you inspire. When you are strong, you uplift. When you are resilient, you create space for others to grow. Long-term use of nutrients, when practiced with wisdom, is not selfish. It is generous. It allows you to live in a way that contributes, that cares, that remains present for the ones who count on you. It allows you to age not as a burden, but as a beacon. And this is why the real question is not, is it safe or slowly killing you? The real question is, will you choose to live with awareness or without it? Because long-term supplementation without awareness is careless, but long-term supplementation with awareness is transformative. It is not danger you should fear, but neglect. It is not the nutrients you should doubt, but the habit of ignoring the signals of your body. Safety is not about avoidance. It is about alignment. So step into this alignment. See every dose of D3, every moment of magnesium support, every bit of K2, not as a gamble, but as a brick laid in the foundation of your future. Feel the empowerment that comes from knowing you are not leaving your health to chance. Recognize the privilege you have to access knowledge, resources, and guidance that generations before you lacked. And remember that what you build today becomes the life you live tomorrow. Because in the end, long-term use of D3, K2, and magnesium is not simply about nutrients. It is about trust in the process of growth, respect for the wisdom of balance, and commitment to the vision of a stronger, healthier you. When you honor that vision, safety is not a question. It is an outcome. And every choice you make moves you one step closer to it.